Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday. It's me, Chris Brack, and I'm here with Luke. No Kev today, so boss is away. Luke, we can get away with murder now. Yes. And I'm joined by Oscar from All Leeds TV, and I'm joined by Euan's back again from Talking Ballacks even. He's actually forgiven us for the Newcastle game. He still talks to us just about, but, you know.
No, I
knew I'd get that name wrong. I'm getting Kevitis here. It's going well.
We say the same thing. Don't worry about it. It's our podcast. So.
Oh, that's all right. I don't feel that bad now. Anyway, cool. So, Luke, how are you doing? You finally turned to a Friday show. That's good, isn't it?
Not too bad. Liverpool can't ruin the weekend.
Yeah,
Liverpool won the game.
Yeah,
so can't get better than that.
Liverpool can't concede first, and Liverpool can't drop 3 points. All in all, good weekend. Oscar, you probably feel the same from a Leeds perspective, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, considering our last game was getting beat 5-2 by Brentford and absolutely, oh man, the depression from that game. But in a way, I'm kind of thinking, I kind of can't wait to get back into it just to make amends for that. But we were supposed to be playing Man United this weekend. They're in good form. We're not so much. So maybe it kind of works in our favour a little bit, it being moved from this weekend, because hopefully when it's rearranged, Man United will be already tired from playing Europa League, all sorts of World Cup competitions. Will be a little bit fresher. That's the way I'm looking at it. And plus, Leeds can't ruin a weekend, which is always so a massive positive.
Yeah, put it this way, Luke. We've missed the 2 immortal banana skins. We're about to play Wolves, who've just signed a new striker, so you know the story there. That gets canned. We're supposed to play Chelsea, who've just got a new manager. Like, oh, fucking
that's been canned.
So the person who get the weekend ruined is Euan. But luckily, Euan's playing Bournemouth, who can see goals for fun. So,
thanks, you've just jinxed us there, Chris. Nice one.
Well, listen, to be fair, I could have said that about any team both were playing at the moment. I think there was only one team drew 0-0 with them, which is
one team lost to them.
Oh, Villa, wasn't it? Villa lost to them.
Yeah.
Says a lot about Villa, that, to be fair. So let's start there. Do you know what? I'll change the order up. Let's start with Villa Bournemouth. I think we've got you here, Euan. So how are you feeling about this for the weekend?
I'm pretty confident. I can't lie. I think it's more the fact that we're a little bit fresher again. It felt like I'm going to bring it up, but the games we played from Liverpool back through to the midweek cup game, we played 270 minutes in 7 days, and our squad just isn't cut out for that. We were really, like, you could tell our legs were tired. We ended up losing Maxi. We ended up losing Bruno. I felt like we were dropping like flies, and to be fair, this little gap probably hasn't done us any harm at all. I think Bournemouth are relatively weak as well, to our strengths. So hopefully at home, packed St James's, 3 o'clock kickoff. I'd like to think it'll be relatively comfortable. Not an easy game, but relatively comfortable for us if we can hit the ground running.
Yeah, I mean, I think the gap might come the right time because it sounds like St Max and Guimaraes will be back, and you've got your new goalie on the bench.
Yeah, I know. But how do you? I'm going to throw it back to you just before I go into the team and think. How are you feeling about that? As Liverpool fans,
I'm glad he's found a club because unfortunately, and look, listen, I'm not saying this to wind you up, but I do think he's a broken footballer. I agree. I don't think he's ever recovered from that Champions League. I mean, to be fair, it's the biggest game of your career, and you drop an absolute bollock.
Yeah, you know, it was awful, wasn't it? Two bollocks.
2 bollocks. Yeah, I still maintain the first one is a 1 in a million thing where you throw it out and the lad sticks his leg out. They never know. Yeah. Of course, the Bale third one's just. There's not much you can say about it. It was heartbreaking as a Liverpool fan.
If you do them twice in a season in games that don't necessarily get seen across the world, I don't think you suffer too much.
It's because of what it was.
Really suffered, yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I've got to be honest. I think the poor lad needs a bit of a lift, and I think because of the positivity around our club, hopefully that'll do him some good. It might not, but I'd like to think he seems like a good character. So
he's probably the second player that we know of that Klopp's properly bombed out. The other one was Sacco. Now, Sacco was disciplinary reasons why he got bombed out. We've been basically trying to sell him for 4 years. Get out. Put him on loan. And last year he was like, I don't want to move. I haven't got a club. So we went, okay, great. You can train with us. We're not going to register for anything.
Turned into like a personal trainer. So you got like,
oh yeah, he's
could have joined the WWE, couldn't he?
He's probably better.
No,
then again,
actually.
Then again, you have to hold people, don't you? So you might drop someone. So
maybe it might be a special move.
Special move, yeah.
I think I'm happy for him. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the Dubravka move was mad. I don't get it from both sides. I don't think Man United necessarily needed him. I don't think he's an improvement. They seem to want a sweeper keeper. Now, he's not a sweeper keeper at all. That's why we bought Pope. He's quick off his line. Dubravka's better with his feet, but that doesn't necessarily mean very much.
Mate, you need your Europa League squad this week.
Yeah, I think, and he keeps making a bit of a fool of himself, the things he's saying. He's trying to warn himself to Man United fans, and I just keep thinking to myself, well, they've had Schmeichel and Van der Sar. They're not going to give a cat's fart about a second goalkeeper who's come in for 6 months. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think it's a bit of a shame because I think he's tarnished a little bit what he had with us and the fact he could have been before the takeover and after it and actually grown with us and potentially become, you know, a bit of an ambassador for the club. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed. But going back to the game, I think Bruno's fit. If I could choose anyone to be back fit, I would choose Bruno. It would have been nice to have had Wilson back because he's just a poacher. And Maxi, I think it's just going to come a week too soon, which is a bit of a shame because I think he would run them ragged. I wouldn't want to risk him though. We've had it before under Bruce where it was like, God, we need Maxi back, let's get him in. And then he sets himself back 4 weeks. I think we're in a position now where we've got a good enough system, not necessarily good at backup players, but a good enough system to make the best players flourish. And obviously with Isaac coming in, I think that's a big bonus as well.
Good. Oscar, from your perspective, how are you seeing this game? You know, do you give Bournemouth any hope?
Not massively, to be fair. You know, obviously they came back really well at Forest, didn't they? You know, in terms of that felt like more Forest are really struggling at this moment in time rather than Bournemouth being great. But yeah, credit where credit's due. They came back from 2-0 down. There's obviously a bit more spirit to them now, I think, with Gary O'Neill there than what there was under Parker. It felt to me like under Parker, they effectively have thrown a towel in early doors. Bournemouth, I still think they'll go down and possibly even finish bottom, but there's a little bit more character to them. But I just think Newcastle defensively just looks so good, especially at home. I mean, the amount of clean sheets they're keeping. Pope, of course, when they do concede a chance, Pope's always bailing Newcastle out because he's such a good shot stopper. I think he is England's best shot stopper in terms of the national team. And if he was as good with his feet as what he was as a shot stopper, there'd be no debate about the fact if he'd be starting for England or not. I still think he should be anyway, to be honest, because I think at the end of the day, what do England need? They need a quality shot stopper. You know, because we're going to concede a lot of chances. But Newcastle are really, really reaping the benefits of that now. And then you're looking at the midfield as well. There's such a good balance to it. There's a Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton as well. Joe Linton, I think, is one of the more underrated players in the league now. I do really think he's come full circle. And yeah, I just think Newcastle looks so well balanced. The fact they've had that break, as Euan said, that break I think is going to help Newcastle. And I think it's going to take a lot to stop them finishing there's the best of the rest in that kind of 6th, 7th place in the league outside that top 6. So I can't see, now that Brighton have lost Potter, I think Newcastle are the front runners now, personally, for that 6th or 7th spot with the recruitment they've done. I mean, Isaac alone, what a bit of business that is. He could easily get 15, 20 goals this season. Yeah, I think it's probably a very exciting time to be a Newcastle fan. I can certainly get that from what Euan's saying compared to sort of Newcastle fans this time last year. I mean, and fair play to him. You know, at the end of the day, I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Newcastle because they kept us in the league at Burnley on the last day of last season, and absolute fair play to them. They did the job for us, and if we didn't do, we'd be preparing for Luton away right now. So yeah, that is. But yeah, no. In all seriousness, Eddie Howe's done a top job, and yeah, let's see how they get on. But I think this will be pretty comfortable against Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, to be fair, they don't have to worry about Pope not being a good passer, as good a passer of the ball. I mean, England are picking 15 defenders, so I think we're playing.
Well, yeah,
I think England will play a back 7, so it doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter if you can kick a ball. And they've got 3.
Don't play like Man City or Liverpool or even Man United, as much as it hurts me to say it. They don't play that way. It doesn't really matter if someone's oofing it rather than like Pickford's hardly brilliant with the ball himself, is he? Let's be honest. The only goalkeeper I'd say is particularly good with the ball at his feet is Ramsdale, but Pope versus Ramsdale on shot stopping, it's definitely Pope for me.
That's what I mean. I mean, do you really need 4 right backs in your squad? Really?
Well, yeah, that's another thing. I mean, it's. And then the left backs that do pick are left backs that don't even start for the club team. So
I think it's like Luke Shaw, and that's like the only left back that's been picked, I think. And I'm like,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Target could have been picked. Mitchell.
I mean, Trippier is very good on either side. To be fair, whether he's left back or right back, he's very good on both sides.
The thing is, as well, with Trippier is in terms of purely in the back four, other than Trent, he's the only one that actually plays in the back four. I mean, Reece James, when he goes into a back four, isn't the same player. It's a totally different role for him. I think there's definitely a case for Kyle Walker as well, but Kyle Walker's been playing low key pretty poorly this season. But yeah, I think Trippier, to be honest, Southgate seems to clearly really rate Trippier, and fair enough. You guys might disagree with me in terms of Trent.
Oh, he's gone.
That long, but I think Trippier will get the nod.
Trippier's definitely been probably the most informed fullback. If you're thinking of fullbacks that are lucky to be in that squad, probably Trent. And
Trent is
Shaw,
he's been by his standard, he's off form. We've all said that. The benefit of Reece James is I don't think he's a right back. I think he's either a wing back or a centre back.
Same with Kyle Walker.
If you play a back three, Kyle Walker's a bit of a hybrid because I think he can do all three. And Trippier is a pure fullback, and that's not a disrespect. He is, but he's a very good one. But he's a very good one, and Trent's a bit of everything. So they give you different options, but I just don't think you need four.
If you're going to have options, I would much rather have options in the wide roles, the 10, like in the 10, in the 8, where you can actually mix a system up. You can go to a team and actually try and go toe to toe with them. I feel like Southgate doesn't have that ruthless side. He's not prepared to cut. The only one he seems to have it with is Trent, and that was before the Euros. And let's be honest, the Euros. He should have been in that squad, and he only really got pressured into it, and then Trent got injured. He doesn't have that ruthless streak. He likes to keep everyone happy and camaraderie and things. But there's certain players, like you say, Maddison. I don't know how he's not in that team, and yet Grealish, who's not even playing well at City, is in the squad. Yet he couldn't get in at Villa when he was on fire. It's backwards. It's absolutely
so dull,
backwards.
isn't it? I mean, the fact is, looking at it, Euan, it's just Mason Mount. The only number 10 in the squad is Mason Mount. And Mason Mount is a good player, but he's hardly been playing well. I can't name
contribution.
Has he had a good game for England, Mason Mount? He might do all these bits for Chelsea. Even this season, he's off form for Chelsea. I can't name a decent game from Mason Mount for England. People might disagree with me in the comments, but I can't think of one. The Euros, he was being carried the whole
one
tournament.
group stage game in the Euros, he did all right, but that was it.
Well, look, England's best performance, I think, was Germany and Ukraine. I think Mount was out with COVID. I'm not saying it was because Mount wasn't playing, but because we tried different options there. I don't know. I think Grealish as well. I think obviously Grealish is probably going to be living off that Euros performances and stuff like that. But it is laughable that for Villa, he's probably one of the best number 10s in the whole country, probably in the Premier League actually. And he goes to Man City, and it's just big club bias again, and that's probably going to be the reason why people like Nick Pope will miss out for England. All these different players, James Maddison, they'll probably miss out for that pure reason.
I mean, Oscar, from your point of view, what about Jack Harrison?
I'm about to say.
Yeah, I mean, there was a case for Jack Harrison. I think if you're going to have Jared Bowen, who's only had 2 or 3 caps, and you're looking in terms of pure form at this moment in time, then why not Jack Harrison in that kind of sense? I'm not going to complain too much he hasn't been picked, because England have got so many options out wide, haven't they? I mean, Saka, Sterling, Foden, Grealish.
Should be unlucky not to be in the squad this.
Being like Sancho, to be fair to him, has played more games for England than Jack Harrison. That's a simple fact. And I think we're just being 2 games before the World Cup. I think we're playing. I guess he wants to see his final squad, but when you're seeing all the other people getting sudden opportunities, I mean, Ivan Toney totally deserves it. Totally deserves it for me. I think I've kind of been calling for him pretty much since the start of this calendar year, really, because he's the only player who can do what Kane does if Kane got injured. We've had that problem for ages. If Kane got injured or was off form, so I am asking a few questions, but I'm not too fussed by that in terms of Jack Harrison. And this will feel like a really weird thing to say, but if Calvin Phillips starts for England when he hasn't played a minute hardly played at all for Man City, it shows how flawed the whole selection is, if that makes sense, And it might seem weird me saying that as a Leeds fan, but there's no consistency with what Gareth Southgate does at this moment in time. And if I'm being honest, I don't know about you guys, I don't have any confidence in this World Cup. It feels like another South Africa 2010, Brazil 2014 to me, where the team's going to get massively overhyped, but really the performances have been pretty dire since the final of the Euros. So I can't see anything other than a real flop from England this summer. Not this summer, this winter.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't get very overhyped with England anyway. If they do well, they do well. If they don't, it doesn't ruin my day. My gut feeling with England is I think that squad ship sailed. I think their chances the last two tournaments, I think they've missed an opportunity. A bit like the great Belgian side that everyone keeps talking about. That they've been the dark horses for three or four tournaments. I think they've missed their boat now because I think they're now starting to go through a rebuild. So I kind of think England missed the boat. So, but you know.
As long as transfer into the World Cup, it's all good.
Yeah.
Get the month off.
Yeah, that's all we really care about, isn't it? So, come on, what are we predicting for Newcastle Bournemouth? I've gone 3-0 Newcastle because I just think Bournemouth are crap.
I'll go 2-0. 2-0
2-0.
3-0.
There we go. That's what we like to hear. Bit of confidence. Right, so speaking from a game that I think should be quite exciting, let's talk about Wolves Man City. Because they're brilliant Man City, but they're not always the most exciting side. And Wolves don't do exciting football, really, do they? So it's an early kickoff. No, they don't score. They don't concede a lot either, to be honest. You know, so it's normally tight games with Wolves. So early kickoff, City coming off the back of a good home win against Dortmund. Early scare from Jude Bellingham. Really good finish again by Haaland, but you know, water's wet.
Dodgy goalkeeping. I have to put the goalkeeper
for the first goal.
Goal just sticks his hand up and moves it out of the way. And, dodgy goalkeeping.
Puts pain to my annoyance, which is always I hate it when defenders who don't score shoot from distance. It never comes off, and makes me look.
Sometimes it does it for City company.
Yeah.
Flash it in top corner. You're like,
So but look, it was good. Actually, to be fair, it was quite an entertaining game, which was quite a nice novelty. But away games at Wolves are normally have been the past. So it's been tricky for City, but can anyone really say anything other than a City win and Haaland bagging too?
I think, listen, it's a bit of I'm sweating a bit about this game because my fantasy football, I'm in a really good position in my low thingy league. I'm second in the thingy, but my whole strategy this season has been to really go for the bargains at the back. So I've got a back line just full of Wolves players, Kilman, Collins, Sarr in goal. So I'm nervous going into this game, but I do think Wolves, as long as they can keep it 0-0 up to half time, I think they can really make it quite an awkward one for City. I think City will win the game, but unless City score early, I think they'll find it quite tough to break Wolves down. You know, if Wolves are in the mood and, you know, they have got the ability to keep the ball as well. You know, Nunes, Neves, Moutinho. I think the biggest problem when you play City is you don't see the ball. You're just getting tired because you're constantly chasing the ball. But they've got a midfield that can keep the ball for a few minutes from as well, relieve a bit of pressure. But I still think City have probably got a little bit too much. But they might have to work for this one. A little bit like the Dortmund game where, you know, in terms of Grealish, isn't really performing at this moment in time. Mahrez the same. It is. I don't know if this is unpopular, but do you feel they're very reliant on Haaland for goals now? All of a sudden, City. You know, if you just take Haaland out of it in terms of the other goal scorers in the team, I don't think anyone's got more than 2. I think so far this season. So is that low key something City need to worry about a little bit?
Possibly, but I think they're banking on Alvarez to eventually.
Yeah,
I have just clutched at like a load of straws there to try and demand we've still got a title race, but it's. I think you never know.
I think Alvarez looks like he's the long-term heir because the fact we all know Haaland has a buyout clause for 2 years' time, which we pretty much all know that's what Real Madrid are going to activate. Look, fair enough. City have probably already bought the Haaland replacement, and he's got 2 years to develop. So, look, ultimately, you can't say City. I've got to worry about City. They've literally dropped 4 points all season. Now, admittedly, they've dropped 4 points in games you wouldn't expect them to. Away to Newcastle and away to Villa aren't games you expect them to drop points in. But I think they're just very rare blips. And that's sometimes what they've struggled with, in my opinion, with Champions League is playing shite, but then they've not had that killer instinct of someone up front like a Haaland, and they now have it. And I think that's what got them over the line against Dortmund, and I think that's what got them over the line today. This is what Haaland's built for, is these hump games just after the European game. So, but Euan, what do you think? I mean, I could be wrong, being overhyped. City.
I said it the last time I was on. Wolves don't impress me at all. I don't think they've adapted to the back four. They've got some very good footballers. I rate Collins. I rate Kilman. I rate the midfield 3. but I don't think there's enough pace in that midfield three at all to get about the City midfield. Because if you look at Núñez, he can carry the ball well and he's a powerful runner, but he's not necessarily he's good at interceptions and he's clever with it, but he's not necessarily physical and in people's faces. Neves is notoriously slow, and Moutinho's 37, 36? He's getting on, whatever he is. He's a good age. So I feel like City will just have too much. I don't think, although Wolves do keep it tight at the back, it's definitely hampering what they do going forward.
Yeah,
they're always looking for the balls over the top to the wingers who stay really high. I don't know if you look at the way Vinicius plays for Real Madrid. You know, he just stays on the halfway line and almost plays outside the fullback. That's kind of what they did against us. And they did get joy out of it, don't get me wrong. But against the City team who have been caught by us, with Maxi doing something similar, I can't see Pep looking at Wolves and going, well, we're going to allow that to happen. I think he'll probably have some sort of fallback plan. And it's a bit of a shame, really, because I think Wolves do have some very, very talented players. I just don't think the setup's right. I don't know why they decided to all of a sudden change when the back five, admittedly from Nuno, had been so successful for so long. It feels like he's gone, no, I can't possibly come in and do it the way the old manager did. I want to do it my way. And I don't think he's got the personnel for it yet. I don't think Johnny is a natural left back. I don't think Aït-Nouri is a natural left back. They're both wing backs. Semedo was never, ever notorious for his defending at Barcelona. If anything, he used to get ridiculed for it. He's now playing right back, and he did have a good game against the Maximin against us. But he's never, ever looked like a proper defender to me. So I don't think they've got the right setup at the minute. So I think City, to be honest, it could be 3-4-1.
Good. Red Steve's gone with it's either going to be 1-1 or 6-0 to City. He said he's got no in between. So fair enough.
It's true.
That's fair. That is actually very fair.
Yeah, Luke, how are you seeing this, mate?
It's going to be an interesting one because obviously Wolves signed Diego Costa on a free transfer, but I don't think he's going to do anything against City. Really, I think
Might get sent off.
He's probably going to get sent off. And he's going to look probably massively off the pace because I don't know where he's been playing since he's left Atletico Madrid.
He might do a Darwin.
Oh yeah, might do a Darwin and just absolutely headbutt one of the defenders.
Just bought Edison for no reason, and they'll go, "That's me done for 3."
But I think with Wolves, I agree with you. And why have they sort of like they got rid of Cody, sent him off to Everton because he doesn't fit in a back four. But I don't know why they switched to the back four because they've not really progressed. They should have stuck with the back three. It's unfortunate about the new signing that got injured in the first games, out for the whole season.
That's a bad injury, isn't it?
Which is a bad injury.
9-month job.
Bruno Lage, it could be one of those like dark causes of managers just to get sacked because they've had the money invested. If he goes on a little bad run, it would not surprise me if he gets sacked. And for City creating chances, scoring goals, and Haaland, is just. I really hope that he was going to struggle, but I've had to eat my words on that one because he's just slotted in like he's been playing here for years. I just think people now with City, they don't know whether not to sit back or they don't know whether not to leave a high line because I think. You saw the first game against West Ham. West Ham sort of played the midline and De Bruyne overhit a pass and then Haaland's just there. Didn't even touch the ball once. And that was to put the ball in the back of the net. So, yeah, I sort of do agree with Red Steve. It's either going to be 1-1 City and get frustrated or Haaland's just going to go, it's hat-trick day today and he'll smash in 2 or 3.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Luke, about Haaland. I don't think that... My thought with Haaland was never that he wouldn't score goals or adapt to the league because I just think he's one of those players who just will. The question mark always was keeping him fit. And Oscar, that's always the question with Haaland is I don't think he's played more than 30 games more than once in a season. That's been the issue. But he plays 30 games and scores 32. So you're kind of going, well, I'll take that, because you would. But at the moment, to be fair, they're managing him well, and to be fair, because City have the ball 80% of the time, it's not going to put much strain on his body either, which also helps.
Yeah, he's not breaking on teams the way he had to at Dortmund, because a lot of the time at Dortmund they would soak up the pressure, they would suck a team in, and then they go right on you go Royce, on you go Sancho, on you go Haaland, and just let them like rockets. I don't necessarily think that suited his physique, to be honest. Although he can do it, you're right. He doesn't play enough games to be able to do that in a Mane or Salah type way.
Red Steve makes a good point. Henderson's been waiting for years to do a stare down with Costa again. One of the funniest memes I've seen.
Bravest man on the earth in that game, wasn't he?
Funny. Oscar, what score are you going for this?
2-0 City. It'll take a while to break them down. As soon as they do, though, Haaland will score one on the break or something. 2-0 City.
Luke, what are you going?
4-0 City.
4-0 City. Okay, so you go for a close game then. Euan, what are you going?
3-1 City, I think.
3-1 City, yeah. So all four is good City. But as Sam Tandy pointed out, we also they'd smash Villa, and that didn't happen. So, you know.
Yeah, just hoping for like a nice little surprise, just to draw.
Yeah. I know. Right, it's that time again. I was going to do a clever segue, but I'm far too tired of long weekend work. So let's talk about our mates at IP Vanish. So, as you guys must all know by now, if you're online using incognito, it doesn't actually protect your privacy. You're basically giving away all your data to hackers, advertisers, and other undesirables. So what you can do is you can sign up with IP Vanish, which is a VPN, which will keep you truly private and secure on the internet. It'll protect everything from your passwords, your communications, your browsing history, and it also hides your location. So basically, it can almost be invisible on the internet. You can use it on unlimited devices without sacrificing speed. That's computers, tablets, phones, and even Fire Sticks with streaming services. And for you guys, you can get 70% off your yearly plan, and you get up to 30-day money-back guarantee. So you're basically getting 9 months for free, and these guys are 4.6 out of 5 on Trustpilot. So if you want the deal, details are in the description below. Go to ipvanish.com/daytrippers. That's ipvanish.com/daytrippers. And our other sponsor, Paramount Plus. You must know by now, they have got the Champions League. You're allowed to watch again now because Liverpool actually won a game in it, which was a novelty. And you could watch Spurs lose a game in 2 minutes, which is also quite funny. And I think for their deal at the moment, I believe it's $10. I think it's $10 a month, about $7.99. So quite cheap as well. And as Kev was pointing out, with some of your Sky packages now, they throw it in as well. So they are our two sponsors. I will try better next week to try and think of a really bad pun, but I'm far too tired, and Luke doesn't like doing bad puns. Do you, Luke?
It's absolutely paramount you get on it.
See, that's why Ewan's got to come back on.
There you go.
Come on,
Luke.
Lads. Even the guest is showing you up now. That's a bad sign. That's a really.
You're welcome, boys.
You're welcome. Right, now I haven't got the fancy graphic up, but let's talk a bit of fancy football, because how are you getting on in fancy football, Luke? Because I'm doing shite.
I'm 202.
You're 202. I'm so far down. I don't think I've got a number. But at the moment, League One is top with 445 points, which I think if you added me, you, and Kev up together, I still don't think we get near that, which is quite impressive. So top 10, the lowest score to finish 10th at the moment is 409 points.
Oh my God.
Jesus wept. So, Oscar, any tips for fantasy football? I feel like you're a dark horse fantasy football.
I'm doing absolutely terribly in the Premier League version. Not too bad in the Telegraph version where you're not allowed any subs. I'm doing better. Weirdly, I'm doing better in that one than the one where you're allowed subs. But I've just gone really heavy on the goals. In terms of like Haaland's a must. I mean, Haaland's a basic. You have to have Haaland. You're gonna lose points if you don't have Haaland because everyone's got Haaland. So that's definitely a good one to have. Jesus as well seems to be getting loads, just involved in every Arsenal goal. And one player I really like at this moment in time, Ivan Toney. Not just gets you goals, he gets you assists as well. He's taking set pieces. He's even got free kicks in his locker, which unfortunately I found out as a Leeds fan. Definitely someone who's good to go for. And again, I've gone quite cheap on the defenders. I said before, maybe not this weekend. This weekend's probably not the weekend to put Wolves defenders in. But Wolves defenders, Newcastle defenders, really, really good value, really good value. The midfield's hardest, though, because you got like people like Jared Bowen, used to be guaranteed points. They've not done anything this season so far. So midfield's where it's quite hard. So I think the defenders and forwards are my bankers at this moment in time. But again, still early days. I think another rule I've got as well is that I always go off like the percentage picks. So I've never picked someone who's like really low, who's really low on that, because my idea is you want someone who everyone's kind of gone for. So if they do crap, everyone else has done crap with that player, if that makes sense. That's kind of my thinking. It's served me well-ish so far, but again, I broke it a couple of weeks ago when I decided to put, I can't remember who it was to put in now. I think it was Canate. It wasn't. No, it wasn't Canate.
I hope you didn't put Canate in.
He's only got one. Joe Gomez in because I thought he's going to get every other games now because Canate's injured. Yeah, that didn't go well for me. That was
he was doing quite well, and then Napoli happened.
Yeah, Napoli happened. Yeah.
He's probably doing well on an individual level, but he's conceding goals. He wasn't keeping any clean sheets, so there's no interest to me as a fancy football player.
I don't think any Liverpool defender is at the moment. We like a first goal. It's an easy bet though.
I still got the faith for Trent though. I still think Trent will the set pieces and all this lot. He's still scored twice this season, I think. So it's still pretty big points to have on there. If you look at his actual points this season, he's still like 5th or 6th on the defenders. So he's only going to get better as this season goes on anyway. So I've still invested in Trent, to be fair, for the time being.
I'm still waiting for me Salah to take off. It hasn't quite happened yet for me. But, you know, I just know the one week I don't pick him, that be it. Then he'd be like, oh.
That's why I'm tempted to do it.
Just do it. Go on, just do it, Luke. You take one for the team. You know, you're in the 200s. I'm in the 400s. I need all the points I can bloody get. So that's about as good as I'm getting. So but when Kane captain this weekend instead of Haaland, oh, Jonathan, I feel like that might be an error. Well,
again, Spurs are playing Leicester, so that
I was going to say that's a nice. You've just ruined my segue, mate.
Sorry.
Luke.
Where's Kev? Get Kev back. I'm only joking. Well, let's talk about Tottenham because Euan, for people who don't know your podcast, it's not just Newcastle; it's Newcastle and Leicester, which is it's an odd combo. What's with the Newcastle? It's just because you're two mates and you're different teams.
We went to university in York together.
Okay.
So Jack's a season ticket holder at Leicester. I'm a season ticket holder at Newcastle. We have been for a long time. Jack saw them in League One. I've been going since I was 4 years old. I'm now 27, so I've seen the Champions League under Bobby Robson. Just saw the end of Keegan, and then saw the relegations with Ashley and kind of everything that came with that. So yeah, it was just two mates kind of got together, and we have very similar views in terms of our political views and alignments and things like that. And we enjoy talking to each other. So I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Leicester now because of Jack. I kind of feel for them at the minute. I feel like they're going through a very, very tough time.
Good. Laura Duffy's just saying Jack is going
absolutely spot on, to be fair, that. And I've just taken note. I've really hodged it so far. I've just gone, right, no risks. Just go for your guarantees at this moment in time. I'm going to have to go more daring to win it, but I'll take second for the time being.
You've gone with the old approach of if you got attacked by if a bear came into the room, he said, "Can you outrun a bear?" No, I just have to outrun you. That's kind of your approach. As long as everybody else is saying, I'll be all right. So, Oscar, let's talk Tottenham. Tottenham had a good start to the season. You know, Champions League midweek didn't go quite as well as they would have liked. So, to be honest, a draw would have been more than good for what Tottenham wanted. But Leicester just looked like a very. I'm glad your mate's not on this one. You just look like a very stale.
I feel for it.
They just look a really stale side. They just like a side that ran the course and probably should have been evolved probably 2 seasons ago. Now, some of that can be blamed on the manager. It's some of that also just coming out of COVID. I believe the owners, a lot of their investment, I think Kev told me, is like all the duty-free shops and airports. They kind of run them. But obviously, nobody's traveling or not traveling at the same level, so they're not as flush as they were before. So, are they just sort of a victim of circumstance, or do you think there's a bit more into it?
Yeah, big investment into that training ground as well. Was the training ground that's like 200 mil? I think it was the training ground. It's like supposed to be the best one in England, so that's a big investment too. But just a little sideway. I've been in Lisbon the last week, so I did actually catch the Lisbon Spurs game. Good to see a Champions League game live, to be fair. But yeah, Spurs weren't great, to be honest. Lisbon probably could have scored a couple in the first half and totally, I felt, deserved the win. And you wonder how much that will affect Spurs and the fact that they're not used to playing, Champions League, Premier League, in this kind of like in this congested way last couple of seasons. You wonder how it will affect them, but still, you think Leicester looks so lost at Brighton. There's no doubt about it. They lost 5-2. It probably could have been more, and had it not been for some dodgy VAR calls, probably would have been a 6-2, 7-2 type of game. And yeah, it's weird how it's just fallen away for Leicester. I kind of compare it to Southampton when they had Koeman and Pochettino and Koeman in charge, and then suddenly they just totally fell away. It feels like they've almost let too many players go, and then the recruitment's just let them down. The last couple of seasons where, past seasons have signed Mahrez, Kante, Tielemans, Maddison, Fofana. You're kind of thinking, last 2 seasons, have they really signed anyone at that level? No. And unfortunately, when they keep losing players as well, the squad quality is going to diminish. The fact that there's no refreshing of the squad as well. You saw something like that happen at Tottenham with the Pochettino, where it's the same starting 11, week in, week out for 3-4 seasons. Eventually, it'll catch up with you, no matter how good you are. And Leicester are kind of finding that out right now. And I think with Brendan Rodgers, of course, obviously at Liverpool, famous example, when it's kind of starts to go wrong with the Brendan Rodgers, it really, really does start to go wrong. And you've kind of got to push the button sooner rather than later.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Not that I don't rate him, by the way, but yeah.
No, but as a Liverpool fan, we watched him where if things went wrong, we'd have 4 formation changes in 40 minutes, and he'd go to 3 at the back. We're Sterling up front. It was fine. We got beat by Man United. That was it. That's out the window. That's where sometimes he chases his tail a little bit, which has been quite frustrating. Luke, I don't know about you. I always felt with Leicester, my thing with Leicester always was every year they'd sell at least one big one. Like they'd sell Maguire for big money and they'd sell Fofana. They kind of had the conveyor belt lined up. The last 2 seasons, they haven't really sold anyone I would call like massive, which means they haven't really, which probably doesn't give them the money to bring in the next range. And a couple of the smart buys you always think they'll do quite well. Like Samari just hasn't worked out.
Hasn't really worked out, no.
Vestergaard looked like a smart signing from Southampton, and he's been an absolute turd for him.
Yeah, I think it doesn't help because I think their company, King Power, lost a lot of money during the pandemic. And I think someone mentioned it in a comment there that the owners actually put something in a match day program explaining that they couldn't invest heavily this year to fit with their long-term sustainability model. So the investment hasn't been there. And like Rodgers isn't helping himself out. He sort of pressed the panic button and he's begging to get sacked, but Leicester can't afford to sack him because they're going to have to pay him £20 million. And when that happens, it's going to go one way, and that's going to go down, 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 and down until Leicester do have the money to either pay him off or they come to an agreement when that they can pay a certain amount. But I don't think Leicester will go down, but they are definitely a dark horse once the stone drops. It's very difficult to turn it around. And their investment this summer, I think they've lost a lot of big characters in the dressing room. Kasper Schmeichel is possibly the biggest one, even though that he was rapidly declining as a top level goalkeeper. To have that level of experience in the dressing room, and I think it's only Vardy left as one of the big characters left, and it's a lot of change, and I just don't think they're going to do that well this season. No. They're going to bottom half. I just don't see what they're going to do to reinvent the wheel, really, because their time, I think Oscar said it great. They were the old Southampton pushing for Europe, and then when they didn't get the Champions League, sort of Southampton fell, and Leicester are sort of hitting that same step, and they'll be battling relegation next year or even this year.
It doesn't look good for them. With Tottenham, although I don't think they were great from the highlights I saw in Europe, they can't really complain too much about the start of the season. I think the third, same points as City, 3 points out of 2 games in the Champions League group, which is outside of City, same as Liverpool, better than what Chelsea are doing. So it's a good start. They've got depth in the squad, but I've had the same suspicion as Oscar is I've never yet seen Spurs be able to cope with a real run in the league and a real run in the Champions League. And I think Arsenal are going to have the same problem with Europa League. I just don't think you can get used to it. And I think it takes a few years to get used to it. Look, we've seen it as Liverpool fans. It takes a while to get used to that relentlessness of 3 games a week where you've got to rotate a lot. City are very good at rotating like that. Chelsea in the pomp were, United in the pomp were. So I think what Tottenham are banking on is getting themselves pretty comfortable in the top 4 position by Christmas. So then they can kind of, if they have to take an eye off it, they can do, and they've got a little bit of a cushion. But I can't see anything than I've got a 2-0 Spurs because I just don't even see. I just don't think Leicester have got anything. Euan, do you give Leicester any hope?
It's not that I don't give them hope. I just feel like they feel a bit like we did when we were going through a real rough patch. So I remember we finished 5th under Pardew, and we never invested. We kind of tried to cling on to Cisse and Kabay and Bar, and we're like, oh, that'll be enough. It's not. You stand still and others move past you. And I feel like Liverpool have maybe felt that in their midfield at the minute. You'll probably understand that you haven't necessarily grown that midfield. You lost Genie, and then I know he wasn't necessarily like a world beater in terms of everything on the eye, but he did jobs that you probably don't appreciate till he's gone. And I think Leicester are trying so desperately hard to keep a hold of players. So Maddison, we put a bid in for Maddison. There was no way in the world he was coming for that money. I think we were just testing the water, seeing what was going to happen. The rumour is he's keen. He's not going to sign a new deal at Leicester, I don't believe. Why would he? If he signs a 5-year deal, it takes him to 30-year-old. He's got to wait another 2-3 years, and I don't see how Leicester are going to be able to build that platform again. They've got players on massive wages that are just not. They're not top 8 material. Put it that way, and that's no disrespect. Vardy, although brilliant, and he has a very good goal to minute ratio. He is getting on, and Harvey Barnes another good player. But if you're constantly playing these players, and you've got someone like Tielemans who looks like he can't wait to leave, you're just leaving yourself in a really vulnerable position. And I feel like they should have tried to do a bit of a rebuild now, except that this season might be a little bit of a write-off. They might finish 11th, 12th, sell Tielemans, get money in for him, maybe sell Maddison, maybe sell Fofana, and go and try and build a new spine. Go and try and get a goalkeeper. I mean, they haven't replaced Michael. And, I mean, Ward just does not look it. He does not look it. He looks like he can't kick. He looks like he can't command his box. He can make a decent reflex save every now and then, but he does not look like a top 10 goalkeeper at all. So I just feel like they're vulnerable in too many positions. I don't think Spurs under Conte will allow them to get anything. When you look up the way Brighton played, Spurs will just do the same. Spurs have got great depth at the minute now as well. So,
yeah, what score are you going for?
Oh, I don't want to upset Jack. 1-0 Spurs.
That's all right. He's not watching. We'll be all right. 1 Spurs. Yeah. Danny Ward. Do you remember him, Luke? He was the rumoured reason why all the Liverpool team sheets got out early.
Was he?
That was the rumour about Danny Ward. That apparently the rumour was he was the one that was leaking the team sheets.
Wrexham lad as well.
Yeah, it's funny that I don't know how people think they get away with it. Oscar, what score are you going for in this one, mate?
I was going to say 3-1, but if Danny Ward's been leaking the team sheet to Antonio Conte, then I'll go 4-1 Tottenham then.
I mean, I'm not being rude. Like, look, I don't think it matters which team sheet you leaked. Unless you think the Man City team sheet, you'd be like, bloody hell, this team looks quite good. I don't think it's bothered.
I think Tottenham are pretty comfortable. I think this is the game where Son probably gets back into form as well. I think Son, as soon as he scores 1, I think he'll go on a bit of a run. He's going to get chances in this game, isn't he? It's inevitable. Yeah, 4-1 Spurs.
Plus, Son knows how to stay on side, unlike his mate who replaced him, who just is permanently offside when he's not falling over. So, but never mind. Right, speaking of, let's talk about his previous club. Everton versus West Ham. This is going to be a battle of wills. David Moyes going back to his old club. Well, Everton West Ham's normally actually a pretty good game. Everton are sort of doing okay. West Ham have had a very not great start. Just about got through last night 3-2. Oscar, how are you sort of seeing West Ham versus Everton?
It just feels like
Everton v West Ham. Sorry, wrong way around.
Feels like it's got a draw written all over it to me. I think both teams will sort of cancel each other out. Goulden, as much as I dislike him, is actually playing really well for him at this moment in time. Dear me, he's taken on the Richarlison shithouse mantle just unbelievably well. You have to give him that. But no, he's a good player, to be fair. They've bought pretty well. Everton, still not convinced by Lampard tactically, but West Ham, last season's West Ham, I think probably do beat Everton in this kind of game, but I just don't think they've quite fully clicked yet, West Ham. As I said, Bowen's a little bit out of form. They've not quite been able to integrate Skamaka particularly well so far. So, yeah, I'll go draw. I'll go 1-1. I think it'll be a decent game, though.
Who was the last Italian striker who really settled and set the Premier League alight?
Balotelli at Liverpool.
No, he just set his bathroom alight. That's all he did. He set the bathroom alight.
Balotelli at City did all right.
Probably, yeah.
But, and before that, you're probably talking Vialli. Zola and Vialli.
Zola,
yeah. It's just a funny thing. Italians don't really seem to settle very well in England.
Di Canio?
To a point, yeah. So it's all a few years ago now, though. We haven't seen any recently, have we? So
yeah, no. I can't even think of that many Italian strikers that have played in the Prem recently.
Yeah,
Zaza.
Zaza
came off the back of that penalty that is still rising in the air, I think.
Oh god, that was terrible. Luke, how are you seeing? That's a shout and a half, that, by the way, mate.
To be fair though to Zaza, how he got out of that stadium without Antonio Conte killing him, I don't know. I don't know how he avoided. How he managed to survive that.
Score prediction for this. Oscar took the word right out of my mouth. I think it's a 0-0. I still got Everton as one of the, not one of the favourites, but one of the people, one of the teams that could go down because they've done okay business. But who's going to put the ball in the back of the net? You can't rely on Dominic Calvert-Lewin because he's injured, and when he's not injured, he's modelling. So how much time is he actually going to have on the pitch?
Another great shout here, but here we go.
Graziano Bello.
You just mentioned the Koeman team.
Yeah, he was good. He had that one season where he was brilliant, and then he just started fighting with everyone.
And I went to China, saw the big money, and just went, "Yeah, I'm off. See you later."
Yeah,
he was built like an absolute tree trunk. Him, when I saw him live, I thought he should have been playing for Italian rugby team. He was some unit, unbelievable specimen.
Man, that is a brilliant shout, absolutely brilliant. We should do a show on that. Shouldn't we look at those random strikers who are great for like a year? So, Michu being the ultimate one. He was great for 2 years. Then he
was great for a
year.
Oh yeah, he scored that world, didn't he, against Chelsea?
Scored about 17 worldies in 6 months, and then barely scored after it.
Was like, yeah, that's my career catalogue done.
It was the
lovely blow. Rocket Santa Cruz, Blackburn, and then City.
Then he went to City, and then they decided not to register him because they had too many players and sent him on loan to a championship, which was just mental. Seeing Rocky Santa Cruz in the championship, he was very good.
Full was brought in to try and keep them up, and then he was absolute.
Mitroglou, yeah.
That's definitely
Mattia Kesman.
Yeah, there's definitely a show there of random footballers you've seen play for you. Do you remember the other Italian striker who played up front for Borough? Because of them, sound like Macaroni. He was absolutely dreadful.
He scored some vital goals in Europe, though.
That's what was making me laugh.
He looks about 40,
the final, didn't he?
Hey, Chris, remember Barini for Liverpool? Played for Sunderland and scored against Chelsea. I thought, yes, you actually done something good.
That's the best thing he ever did. The best thing he ever did was not for us,
Went to AC Milan after Sunderland. I was like, what? He's got the best agent.
I know. I must admit, we've had some stockings play for us, but we can go through that as well. Some of the random strikers we've had play for us. I've never heard of these fella. The worst one we've ever signed is that winger Sanders Rogers that I never.
Is it Asaidi?
Yeah, even when you YouTubed him, you're like, I don't even know what he looks like or what position he is. It took me 3 days to find out he was a winger.
He scored an absolute worldie against Newcastle at St James's for Stoke in a game. I think we won 5-1. That was the only thing I know him for. But it was a great goal, to be fair to him.
Yeah, so get a few in. Falcao at Chelsea United, yeah. Pato went to Chelsea as well. Never played. He just went.
They've had a few like
two games, 1 goal. That's his record at Chelsea. 2 games, 1 goal
as well. He won the penalty on his debut and scored it on his debut.
Danny Osvaldo.
Danny Osvaldo. Forgot about he was mad. Danny Osvaldo.
He retired to be a singer, didn't he? He's in a band.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a lead singer in a band in Argentina now.
Yeah, this tells you, for those of you who are still watching, this tells you how much we're excited about Everton, West Ham, because literally we had no other games to pick from. So we're literally just talking about random footballers. Joe at City, who also went to Everton, he was
Joe at City.
He was absolutely awful. He was. But I've actually got a 2-1 West Ham. Only because I think Everton are still missing quite a few. No Godfrey, no Mina. Pickford's out till after the international break. So
Jakupovic on a free after he got released from Leicester to be a backup.
Yeah, because the backup goalkeeper's injured, so he's not. It's the thing for backup goalkeeper. I know Darlow for you. Euan's had a
he's out for 4 months.
Apparently got offered at Newcastle, and then he was.
It's a good watch that. If you watch the podcast, have a watch of that.
Because he said
quite well on it.
Put out a number, it would be ridiculous, hoping that they wouldn't come back, and then it was like sort of had a gut feeling in my stomach that they might have actually done it, and now he's retired. So,
but I liked his answer in the end, which goes, if I'm turning down a big money move, big moves to Newcastle, said, if we're going to turn them down, who am I going to say yes to? And he's like, maybe that is me done. I mean, he's 39, so it's probably about the age of goalkeeper.
He could have still done a job in the Premier League. He could have still done a job. Still would have been. He could have been.
Apparently, he's really good mates with Nick Pope as well, so he found it really hard. He gets on with Dan Ashworth from West Brom as well, so it sounded like it was the perfect scenario. And if he didn't like then you know that's somebody telling him.
I don't think he wants to move his family. I don't think he wants to be 9 months away from his family. Which, look, at 39, thinking he doesn't need the money either. So and he's enjoying his podcast.
I think you forget that element of a footballer, don't you?
Yeah, you do that sometimes, especially when you hear some footballers where the family lives abroad. That must be even harder. So, I've gone for 2-1 West Ham. Luke, what are you going for?
I'm going to go
0-0, wasn't it?
1-1.
1-1. Euan, what are you going for?
2-1 West Ham as well.
2-1 West Ham. There we go. This is why we keep bringing Euan on. He's good with puns. Hates Everton. What more?
That's the only pun I've ever come up with in my life.
We'll tell you on that bit. It's brilliant. So
I'll try and think of one for next week.
Cool. So the other thing I want to have a chat about, Oscar. Now, first, this doesn't affect you as much. Is obviously we had one round of fixtures missed out. So
we're not going to speak about Brentford Arsenal. Or was that after the international break? Because they're playing on Sunday, aren't they?
Could care less.
Forget Arsenal.
Could care less. Talk about football. I don't care about either of them times. So obviously we have one round of fixtures cancelled, but there's now 6 clubs now who are going to have two games to make up. I'm just interested to wonder where they're going to fit them in, because a lot of these sides, with the exception of Brighton Palace, which don't have Europe to worry about, most of them are either in Europe or one of their teams are in Europe. And I do wonder, do we think they'll extend the league by a week? Or are they just going to do the English thing, which I think is probably the answer of stick a bit somewhere. We'll find a gap. We'll find a gap somewhere.
I heard a rumor they were gonna shift Champions League games and try and swap them over and try and adapt it that way, because the Champions League games have to be played by a certain point to allow progression. So they were going to try and work it some way. I don't know what they were thinking, because obviously it doesn't affect Newcastle, but I think that this is only going to help certain managers talk about fatigue and talk about bigger squads and justify spending and things. I don't think it's going to necessarily help the long term of the game.
I can't see anything of these games being put in until March. I think they'll do it later in the year.
There's one slot they can have. I think it's between the 22nd and 29th of October. I think it's the only one where there's no Champions League, Europa League, or League Cup game. I think that's the only.
Which is probably when they'll fit in the games that we lost a week.
With
the condensing for everyone. And then it's those random 3 games that I kind of feel, and obviously that Brighton Palace will get fitted in, because you could probably play them on a European night. I know the European rules about you can't show televised games with European games on, but I can't have the games televised anyway, so you could probably get It's more fitting in how deep United go in Europe, how deep Liverpool go in Europe, how deep Chelsea go in Europe, and that's where you're a bit like, you're kind of not helping yourselves here. But I wonder if they'd just extend it for a week, because some of those fixtures, if you did some of those fixtures at the end of the season, Chelsea, Liverpool, or the week before where it's like City, Spurs, imagine that's like a title decided at the end of the season. That just, TV comes like that does make it. Ooh, they're quite tasty games to watch at the end of the season. But
Leeds Man United relegation.
Leeds,
I'm only joking, Oscar. It was just a dig at Man United. It was just a dig at Man United, I promise.
Oscar's face then, he's like, I'm not coming back in here again. There's no need for that.
To be fair, it's you never know. But
no, I don't think you're even in the running for it, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at Forest at this moment in time and teams around them, it's quietly reassuring. But listen, there's still only 6 games in, so we'll see. But yeah, it's a bit of a worry when they'll try and fit all this in, because it could really do some teams in. If it's like, if it's like last season, where it's just like got absolutely crazy at some point, around March, April, where everyone was basically playing Saturday, Tuesday, and I think even at one point towards the end of last season, I think it was either Arsenal or Tottenham in the top 4 race. They had to play Friday, Monday, Thursday. I think they had to play something mad like that.
Jesus. I think in the end that's where Tottenham had to forfeit the Conference League, because they were like,
it must be Tottenham. Then.
I think it was because of they missed the game because of a COVID outbreak, and then they were like, literally cannot fit this in. So they're like, forfeited them. Admittedly, Tottenham were probably quite pleased to forfeit it, because I think they actually wanted the gaps, but he's like, it's not getting good when you get to the point where you got a forfeit game. So I was just curious.
You know what my hot take is on all this in terms of.
Go on, I love a hot take. Go on.
Get rid of the League Cup.
Oh no, that's one we can win. No.
I know, but
I like.
We haven't won a trophy for 50 years or 60 years or something stupid. No. We need that one, Oscar.
You still got the FA Cup.
Yeah, but people take that seriously. We haven't got a chance in that one.
I like the League Cup, I think, because it's done by February, but I like the fact it's midweek, and I tend to find the crowd you get on a League Cup midweek game, it actually tends to be people who don't get to go to the games very often. So I've took the few times I get to take my daughter, it tends to be a League Cup games. So the League Cup is throughout, that's just mad games and mad results. So I quite like the League Cup. I'd been off the 2-legged semi-final, but I've been saying we should be binning that off for about 10 years.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
I don't get it. I don't get why a semi-final has to be 2 legs. Just make it one big game.
FA Cup replays, which apparently they're still going to do it.
They're going to bring it back.
Why?
I know.
No.
Money. That's what it is. Money. Let's talk about money. That's all it is. Don't get me wrong. There is teams in lower divisions that will massively benefit from a replay if they manage to get one. But why doesn't the, let's say, Premier League club just give them the gate money for that game that they hosted? If that's what it is, and it's about feeding the football pyramid, which I'm all for, and allowing the divisions to flourish as much as possible, just do that. The games are going to kill players.
Do an all-star game to give the football pyramid all the money, which is absolute rubbish, because they wouldn't give a dime to the football pyramid.
They're doing the age-old thing of suggest something crazy to make people talk about it, and then introduce something that's not quite as crazy, but still out there to get it put through. I do think they're going to try and push things through like that.
There's a lot of ways they can cut fixtures, though. There's like we've said, 2-legged semi-finals, cutting the replays. There's a lot of ways they can cut fixture
congestion. The new Champions League format, less is more. I don't think big companies understand less is more.
Well, the new Champions League format, if we're being honest, the new Champions League format is the Super League format.
Yeah,
you have to qualify. Basically, the Super League had said you had to qualify for it.
UEFA just gone.
You probably that was the thing with Super League. It was basically just binning your way for off and being the new midweek tournament. But the new Champions League is the Super League. But the Oracle of Football that is Gary Neville, he's fine with it. Maybe because Sky might get rights for it. So
the only thing I'll say is that I do prefer that because of the lack of closed shop thing.
Yeah, that was
a big thing, isn't it?
That was the only thing. If they would have changed it and said it's not a closed shop, but the founding members get a little bit more money for the first year, but like, yeah, all right.
The closed shop does never sit well with me, because as much as we all hate it at times, sport has to have some jeopardy in it. Otherwise, there's no fun. There's no excitement. There's no sheer joy. Look, I'm not trying to rub it into you, but a last minute winner should mean something.
No, 100%.
Not like so like for Oscar, watching his mate Joe when Leeds basically tried to throw the game 3 times and scored in the 95th minute. The pure elation from Joe of that's kept us up. That's what you want in football. And the opposite end of, the elation of do you win the title? Look, that Wolves game was agony and ecstasy in 90 minutes because for 20 minutes I thought, Jesus Christ, we're gonna nick the league on the last game, and then you don't get it in the end. That's what you want. The close shop element is just a very close way. It is a very American sport way of thinking because in American sports, relegation isn't a thing. It's just not their type of sports. Their type of sports don't need it or don't warrant it. It's just a different way of culture of doing sport, and I think that's the bit that they struggle with. Whereas in European sport, that's the jeopardy. Now, where I do think the jeopardy's wrong is the drop off from if you get relegated from the Premier League, it basically cripples you financially. You're absolutely knackered. I think that's the gap they need to close, where 3 clubs will get relegated, but it shouldn't bankrupt you.
Yeah,
I think that's where
Oscar will probably completely agree with me because obviously you've been down to League One and you saw that horrible period. And I've got a bit of a soft spot for Leeds because I've got a lot of mates who support them, being from the North East and obviously Yorkshire just being next to us. They stuck by him no matter what, and even when they were really, really struggling and still bringing in huge crowds, if and when you do win a trophy, whatever it is, League Cup, FA Cup, whatever it is, it'll probably mean more because you've been down to League One. If you've not ever been told that you can never be relegated, doesn't really matter, does it? But the fact that you can progress, you can be relegated, you can rise from the ashes type thing, a little bit like what Wolves, Leicester, Leeds have all done in terms of coming back strong. Why would you not want that? I know it's not nice in that moment, but the relegation under Rafa, for us, probably put us on a better footing to allow us to then get a platform to say, right, okay, well, if Ashley does sell, at least we've got somewhere we're going now. It's boring otherwise.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's, I think there's certain things, in terms of trying to Americanize English football, I just think it's impossible. We've seen all sorts of different things put out there in terms of the 39th game abroad. Do you remember all that talk about
game 30, game 39? Remember that?
Yeah,
one?
that's going to be played in. Was it Qatar? I think it was Qatar.
Wherever it was. America, take it.
America just mentioned. It's just
that's what the All-Star game is. It's basically like your 39th game. We'll tour it around at the end of the season. I think Klopp said, "Oh, he's not been here long. Let's just bring the Harlem Globetrotters. Let's just bring everything."
Yeah.
So, if there's one manager you want to ask about fixture extensions, he's probably not the right one. And to be fair to the new Champions League thing, so they just said, "What do you think of the new Champions League game?" He goes, "Just what we want now, isn't it? 3 or 4 more games because that'll really make it better." He goes, "What's wrong with just having the best teams play each other when they play each other? I don't know why you need this league format."
Well, that's it, though. It's this thing like, almost like trying to make football like WWE kind of thing in terms of where it's just like the best always plays the best. There's no real jeopardy in that lot. It's like 1 week someone might win, the next week's there's no real jeopardy.
Loses shine if you get the best playing each other week in, week out, week in, week out, week in, week out. It just loses the shine, loses that big match feel.
It's saturated, isn't it?
Yeah,
because we look forward to a Super Sunday when you've got a big team playing a big team and you haven't had it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Yeah,
because in the Champions League we have the running joke, Luke. We play Porto. Why? Because we always play Porto. It's the running joke. It's the team we get every 2 years. We play Porto, but when we played Bayern a few years ago, that felt massive because we haven't played Bayern since the 70s. That's where you go. So I actually quite like the fact there are certain teams you very rarely play. But in the Premier League, it's the same. So I quite like it when the Premier League, when Brentford came up, because I'm thinking, I've never seen, someone it's a team you don't play. And that's kind of what you want.
Well, Brentford bullied Arsenal that first game, didn't they?
Yeah, they bullied us as well.
That first game back. Yeah. I
Tony
think
came out and said that Van Dijk's a bit too soft. And was like, what?
I think you're spot on when it comes to the whole, well, you're playing Real Madrid 1 week, you're playing Barcelona the next. Yeah, okay, for the first maybe year, that's great. I can guarantee by year 3 you're thinking, wouldn't mind playing Brentford and having a bit of an upset or some sort of some sort of jeopardy, like you say. Brentford turning up to Anfield, sticking 11 men behind the ball, and you've got to break them down, and then you nick a late winner and you feel good about it. That means more. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm really against it, especially like growing up with the format we've had. It's alien to me.
Yeah. You can't make English. I'm not trying to sound like English football. There is certain things you can do to improve English football. There's no doubt about it. In some ways, it's still a little bit stuck in its ways in some ways, but it's still the best league. It still produces the best cup competitions. There's no doubt about that. And you just look at American sports in general, it's just a totally different ball game. I mean, you go to like NFL, there's not really any major jeopardy there because even if a team's absolutely terrible in the initial stages, they're still going to be there next year playing in the competition. They're still going to have fill in 60, 70,000 stadiums because there's only a certain amount of teams in each American sport. That's a big thing. If you've only got in the English football pyramid, you've got 92 teams. That's just league teams. You've then got non-league teams as well. American football doesn't have that. American sport doesn't have that many teams. They've maybe got 30, 40 teams at most. You've then got a lot more teams, a lot more fans for each team, if that kind of makes sense. I don't know if I'm going down the finger here, but it's just a totally different ball game. You have to have promotional relegation. You can't shut out a set of teams because, just because they're not as big as the other teams. So in that kind of sense, like they do in American sports, it's just totally different situations. And but it won't go away. Unfortunately, it won't go away until they've got exactly what they want.
Now, and Lord Duffy rightly points out, Sheriff beating Real Madrid in last year's Champions League. Things like going, that's what you want to see, like mad shocks. There we go. Well, the opportunity to do it, you've earned the right. So, look, I follow women's football. I watched Northern Ireland qualify for the first time ever for a competition. They got battered in all 3 games. But the right to try the best against the best. It didn't work out, but that's the point of it. And it doesn't matter what level of football you're in. There's something you want to go for. And if you're just given it, it doesn't quite feel the same.
Was it New Zealand who played in the 2010 World Cup with the only team who were unbeaten because they drew every group game but went out?
Yeah.
And even the winners got beaten the group or something mad like that.
I remember.
I know it's not much, but that means a lot to them.
It does.
Especially means a hell of a lot to them.
Especially getting out the Oceania division because that's why Australia are now playing the Asia qualifiers because they've realised it's really hard to qualify. Because I think if you win the Oceania, you've got to play who's 5th in South America. You've got to play
one of the playoffs.
Which is ridiculous.
You've got to play a playoff,
you win your group, you still don't get through. Alison pointed out here, Spain getting beat by Switzerland. That's the kind of stuff you want to see. Right, before we go, one last one for you. What is your one little bugbear in football that you'd love to change? I'll give you mine to give you an example, and then you can do this. So mine is, it's a corner. Referee goes, stop the corner, lads. You two go here. Stop pulling each other, or I'll give a penalty. Why do you have to tell the players the rules? You don't tell a player when he jumps in 2-footed. Don't do that again. I'll send you off. Just blow up, give the penalty. Guess what? They'll soon stop doing it.
Yeah,
they know the rules.
I don't know why you have to stop the game to say that lads stop pulling each other. So that's my one little bugbear. I just get rid of that. And you can't say VAR. That's the other thing.
We haven't covered the Palace incident.
The Palace? Ooh. No. We'll bring that up.
Do you remember the Palace? The Mitchell push on Willock that should have been a goal that wasn't.
They had a mare, didn't they? But again, the issue with VAR,
the West Ham was worse than ours. West Ham's was worse than ours as well. The Mendy injury.
Oh yeah,
Villa one was awful.
Against City was bad. Yeah.
God.
It's really, really bad. You're gonna have to come back to me, Chris.
Yeah, the issue with that was he blew up before the goal went for the ball in the net, so they can't actually check it. That's actually not knowing your rules. Go on, Luke. Is there any sort of little bugbears you'd like to get rid of?
My biggest bugbear. I need you to come back because I can't really.
Go on, Oscar. Because it comes to straight away. It's true. Time wasting. Okay.
Time wasting. There's a lot. It's quite simple. It's just quite simple. Just be more strict with it. If you think someone's time wasting, book them. There's no time wasting on the pitch. As soon as you start getting the cards out, even if it's like a case of you need to give someone 2 yellow cards if it's time waste, guess what? It will never happen again. Simple as that. In terms of, it's not just the time lost, I think, on time wasting that really helps the team trying to do the time wasting. It's the fact all the momentum can be lost. So you can have someone have a really dangerous attack, be about to cross the ball into the box, and someone can just literally just drop down in that lot and just delay the game in that kind of sense, or it just loses all momentum. Slow taking throw-ins, slow taking free kicks, slow taking goal kicks. Just book him, send him off, whatever it needs to be. You'll sort it out. If it needs to be 2 yellow cards because you've wasted time twice, then do it by all means. And listen, if Leeds are 1-up at Man City away from home in the 90th minute, I'm not going to complain about it too much then. But that doesn't happen very often. So I'd happily bin off time wasting by being much more strict with the rules. What happened to the 6-second rule? When do you ever see the 6-second rule?
Do you know the only person who ever used to know that rule, as much as he's not the greatest person, is Luis Suarez. He's the only player who used to know. He'd stand next to the goalkeeper counting, and he gets to 10. He gets to 10 and goes to the ref. Oh, well, are you going to book him? And the ref no, I don't want to enforce that rule. Red Steve says, get rid of all pundits. I can't read that last bit. Except Ali McCoy, because Ali McCoy just loves football. The only other one I'd keep is Ian Wright. I do like Ian Wright. I like his enthusiasm, and he's just a nice bloke, to be honest.
Pundits.
I've got one, Chris.
Go on, then. Let's hear it, Euan. Go on.
Goal music.
Oh, yeah.
Goal music.
I'm sorry.
Which ones though? Which
lockdown? I could tolerate it. I could tolerate.
Yeah. I get that type of thing because it's a bit flat otherwise. But in a stadium, why have you got goal music when you've got numerous thousand fans there? I've been away from home in the Championship. Clubs like Wigan, clubs like Rotherham, and every goal that's got, you can't hear anything apart from this goal music, and it's often and just let the fans just listen to the noise meetings more. That's my bugbear.
Do you know Bayern's one when Bayern score? Oh, that's quite funny.
Probably. I can't picture it.
I think Alison's trying to troll us here.
Yeah, he is. He's
yeah, that's Bayern's one.
He's having my life, isn't he? No, to be fair, on the time wasting thing.
Did the can music when they score?
Yeah, that's Bayern's.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is the can-can music.
It's the can-can music.
It's the can-can music. That's what they play when they score, which is it's very German.
It's not a football. It's not a footy chant, that is it? Let's be honest.
It's not really, is it? No, but yeah, Norwich probably have good music. The only thing have you been to? You must have done Wolves away, Euan. Have you done Wolves?
I haven't done Wolves. That's one I haven't. I've done all the Midlands apart from Wolves.
I've watched. I was watching on the telly, and it's like a rave before the game starts. It's
yeah,
just like
they've got big lights and things. Yeah. I went to Chelsea away. Chelsea have got like this pyro display. They've got lights dimmed, pyros on a night game, and like fire coming out these pillars and stuff. Yeah, so they go big on it.
Oh, Red Steve's got a good one here. Yellow card for taking your shirt off when you score a last minute winner. Yeah, they are.
Well, Richarlison.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did anyone watch the Juventus game last week?
Who did they play?
Yes.
Oh, the one that shouldn't have had a goal disallowed.
So they scored. So Milik scored what he thought was the winner. Took his shirt off, jumped in the crowd. They went, second yellow, you're off. And he went, I don't care, I've scored the winner. And they show the replay, and defender tried to edit, but he stood offside, so they disallowed it, and then they sent another three lads off. It said that he wasn't
not being offside. Yeah.
No. And then they said
that's the worst thing.
And then they sent three more lads off just for fighting. It was great. It was the best. The whole game was the best 5 minutes ever. If you haven't seen it, just Google it. BT Sports will just show you the last 5 minutes. It's absolute carnage. I mean, it's terrible officiating. It shouldn't have been allowed, but it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Cool. Right, just before we go then, don't forget our charity, Bobby's Wish to Walk. I should have checked what total we're up to. We're definitely over the 130k mark. We've been over that for a little while now. So details in the description below. If you can give what you can. If you can't give, please just share. Let's try and get this lad to America. You saw what Sienna did. Sienna is now walking unaided. She's walked herself into school. So we want to do the same for Bobby. So if you could do that, that'd be grand. Oscar, thanks for joining us. Where can everyone find you? If they must know by now, but where can everyone find you?
So you can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all these TV. And yeah, we basically do match previews, match reviews on Leeds United. And yeah, so we're coming up to the 5-year anniversary of it, I think. Yeah, 5-year anniversary in October. So we're supposed to have hit that milestone as well. And yeah, all things Leeds, really.
Cool. Laura says we're up to 1-3 now, which is great. Kev, show's nearly over, mate. Thanks for turning up. Did I behave myself? Absolutely no. That's never going to happen. And Euan, thanks for coming on. Where can everyone find you?
No problem. Talking Ballacks Podcast. It's me and Jack, Leicester and Newcastle. Bit of a weird combination, but give us a listen. See what you think. Yeah,
go on. It's good to laugh, and you'll hear more of Euan's excellent puns as well. So that's the thing to look out for.
No, you won't.
That's got a load of views overseas now just for that. Right, but listen, guys. Thanks for joining us, and guys in the chat, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your comments, and there's obviously no full-time Reds this week, so I can't get shouted at this week, which would be quite nice. But there will be a fat back four with the guys on Sunday, and then we'll start the whole loop again with winners and losers. And Luke and I will most likely be back on a Friday, annoying other football fans, because that's kind of what we do. Until then, guys, enjoy yourselves. Speak to you soon.